So we are a cooperative school for the earth. That is our main compass. And the reason we started creating our co-op is that Western academic systems of education have failed. They haven't prevented ecocide, illness, class divisions, and wars. We're seeing this play out in so many places around the globe right now. And so many folks are looking to find schools that are not focused on an individual and capital and competition, but are tuning into embodiment, collaboration, and interdependence. So we want to remediate what harm has been caused and find solutions that will help grow a future for everyone on this planet. And we'll talk a little bit more about our vision. So we see movement in our communities and our families and around the globe that are full of change makers, oftentimes young people, very courageous people who are coming from many ages and backgrounds, wanting to reorient life towards reconciliation and healing for a sustainable future. And we need new models of education that are earth-centered, and we also need new models of economies that can bring us fulfillment and have the ability to thrive as a planet. So the school started in 2020. I was in a program called Muse Business Academy, and I was tired of working in the nonprofit sector. I was tired of not having stable income or knowing what my job was going to be around the corner. I had been also teaching in universities and colleges and not wanting to center Western arts and academics in what I was doing. So it was a perfect moment to birth something new and teach a program that I had been cultivating since 2013 called the DIY PhD. And so I founded School for the Ecocene also with my teacher and many of our teacher, Olivia Chumacero, who's an indigenous philosopher, poet, teacher that has a course called Everything is Medicine. So these two classes were sort of the sprouting of our school in 2020, and it was all online because the pandemic had just happened. And it was really the DIY PhD students who contributed to the school forming and are very much co-founders of the school and co-creators of the school because they took a leap of faith on those words, DIY PhD. Some folks like Inc. were already thinking about those words and connected with us. And so we're really reimagining what a higher education can be when we also want it to be a deeper education, not just climbing up, but looking around us, looking at place, looking at ancestors, looking at community. And so towards the end of 2020 is when I started asking folks that seemed really interested in the school if they wanted to create the school as a co-op together. And so many of us on this call, and I'll show you more people in a second, came together to really dream vision School for the Ecocene as a cooperative. And we've been steadily working on it ever since then. And last January, we officially became a co-op. We filed our bylaws, and we are now birthing our community membership, which is going to be the main tenet that supports our co-op, which we're going to get into more in a second as well. So we have a lot coming this year with our new community membership, School Press, and Confluence, which is going to be our take on an academic conference, but it's going to be embodied and earth-centered, and that's coming later towards the end of May in 2024. And so it's really taken us 4 years to get from the sprouted idea as an online school into now we're having more in-person programs, and we're having more folks holding the school, cultivating the school, contributing their visions as well. And we're going to be offering more programs in the year to come, in addition to the two main ones that have been the DIY PhD and Everything is Medicine. So I'd love to share our cooperative values because we wrote these together. This was maybe one of our first collaborative moments as a co-op. We had a virtual retreat, and we started dreaming like what's going to be guiding our school. And our main purpose is that we wanted to be a school to cultivate planetary liberation, which for us means that all beings are able to live safe and healthy in sovereign habitat. In other words, re-indigenization of the earth. And so here are our values. We're guided by earth, community, ancestors, and spirit. We are composting, transforming, and emerging in cycles of learning and unlearning. We respect all expressions of life, past, present, and future, as sacred and sovereign relatives. We celebrate the unique expressions and divergence in our communities, seen and unseen. We redistribute nourishment to our mycelia of beings. We foster autonomy, embodiment, and interconnectedness in education for new and seasoned earthworkers. We honor our bodies, communities, and habitats as teachers. We are intergenerational, interspecies, intercultural, and guided by our Black, Brown, Indigenous, and queer elders and youth. And finally, we weave baskets of care for ourselves, our ecosystems, and each other beyond borders. These tenets really hold us. They're really strong roots to everything that we do. So that was really beautiful to dream these together, and they feel strong. They feel really strong and present in the way that we're also building our co-op as a sustainable collective business model. So, jumping ahead. So these are our active stewards, and this is one way we've been able to hold baskets of care for each other, is that some folks can go dormant at times when they need to focus on other areas of their life or healing or a family event that might happen. And so we can sort of communicate to go when we're going to be going dormant, when we're going to be active in administrating this school and holding the school. And our two elders are Olivia Chumacero and Queen Hollins. Olivia is the elder that teaches Everything is Medicine, which she has 2 workshops coming up in person, one in the Bay and one in LA in March. So that's really exciting. More information on our website about that if someone will mind putting that link in the chat. And then we have Joe, who's our Abundance Steward, Ink, our Community Design Steward, Jenny, Design and Marketing Steward, Dongyi, Design Steward, myself, Cross-Pollination Steward, and Chayo is our HR Steward. And I'll just explain briefly, cross-pollination has been the role that I've taken on in this transition from being more of a sole proprietor or a single business owner when the school started, until now really going from like a top-down traditional business into a horizontal business structure. So for now, I've just been going between the different circles and stewards to sort of help transition this school, and that role will be shifting for sure in the future as we're feeling more and more rooted in our collaboration. Okay, here's our accomplishments so far. We have sliding scale tuition based on income. That feels really important. As much as we can offer that. Sometimes if we have an elder or a teacher that has a different tuition requirement, we honor that as well. But for the most part, our programs and our membership are sliding scale based on how much people make, so that it can be as accessible and sustainable to as many people as possible. For the DOI PhD program, we've offered low-income Black and Indigenous students full or partial scholarships. We are focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion in Earth-centered education. We want to make Earth learning fun, creative, and accessible. We've been making Earth learning fun, creative, and accessible. We do a lot of play in all of our programs. We support our Black and Indigenous elders to teach and publish. So Queen Hollins will be publishing her book with our school. It's called Earth Doula. And we've been helping her throughout that writing process and are really excited to share that work with the world, as well as future DIY PhDers' dissertations and books and projects with the world. We've provided training, job references, and income for youth in our community. We center our bodies, spirits, and emotions as we learn. And we grow income and collaborative businesses that benefit the earth. We cultivate hope, belonging, and resilience for caring change makers. And we've been able to serve a lot of people through our programs. And these community members have definitely enabled our school to exist thus far. And we'll continue. And to now, this is the juicy bit that many of you came for, is that our e-cooperative model. So how can we sustain our business knowing that we're still living in a lot of capitalist systems, and many of us have a lot of bills to pay, and many of us are also wanting to sink our money into mutual aid networks. How do we balance all of this? How do we balance the different pressures and needs that we have, with our values and our desires and our goals to be working towards planetary liberation? So what we've come up with as a school is like three main income streams that can be at different levels for different kinds of accessibility. We have co-op membership, which Jenny's going to go into in just a moment. That's what we're pretty much launching today, is that we have worker owners of our school, and now we're going to be having cooperative member owners that are community of the community as well, owning the school. We have programs, so we have teachers teaching classes, and we have our Ecocene press that's coming out. So we're going to have publications that are both like digital downloads, PDFs online, as well as a print book of Earth Doula coming in June, and there will be more books to come. So I'm gonna pause there, and I'm gonna pass it to Jenny to go into more detail about the cooperative membership. And this is the structure that we've been really building out for 3 years. So it's a two-tier. Our co-op it's a two-tier cooperative corporation where there's the worker owners who are administering the school. We call ourselves stewards of the school, and then there's going to be community member owners. So Jenny's gonna take it from here. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you, Sarita. I'm gonna share my screen. So this is our website. It's newly refreshed, and also coming up with some more pages that will be added. And we have here our membership site. This is where you can come to learn how to become a community member owner. And here we have our invitation for you to join us in creating transformative education for the earth with us. And everything is centered around the world of mycelium. So we ask, which fungi are you? And we offer you a co-op membership based on your income for you to choose. And each membership has the same benefit. So you will receive the same benefit no matter what level you decide yourself to be at. And whatever membership you collaborate with will also help fund the school. It will help keep us alive and thriving. So we'll be mutually thriving together through this membership. Here we have our lovely gallery of mushrooms. And we invite you to see, which one are you most aligned with? Is it enoki? Is it amanita? Is it reishi? Is it the morel? Is it lion's mane? Each mushroom has its own medicine. And so here you can discover which one is the one in alignment for you based on income here. This is a suggestive bracket for you to sign up with, and you have your monthly and your yearly membership. So you can choose to pay monthly and you can choose to pay yearly. And if you pay yearly, your rate includes 2 free months of membership. And so what is included in your membership? Here we have all your membership features. This includes study hall, which is a biweekly virtual group that stewards will be holding, and eventually we'll have some guest facilitators as well. And here in the study hall, we'll be having topics for discussion. For example, Sarita will be talking about how to connect to your ancestors and to the elements. I will be having a session on April 9th, where I will be talking about discovering your medicine and trusting in your own medicine and leading with courage. And so that's going to be a juicy part, since from being at the school and participating with the school, the people I have met have been absolutely beautiful. I can't tell you how much my life has changed from participating in the school and meeting others who are aligned with me, and having that sense of belonging has been so nourishing, especially at times when we have been needing to be more virtual and not as in person. It's just been so beautiful. So very excited to be offering this to all of you. And we also have our Earthworker directory. So you'll be able to upload your information, what you do, what you're offering, and what you're seeking. And people can support you and connect with you through this Earthworker directory. So that is also very, very special. So when people come be a part of the school, they'll see you and your work there. So you'll get some more networking. You'll be a part of this mycelium. You'll also receive a 10% discount on school for the Ecocene classes, publications, and events. So that will include classes that we'll be having. We'll be rolling out that includes right now EIM and DIY PhD. And we're going to be having a more robust showing of classes. I myself am really excited about the idea of having a class and showcasing here at the school. And then we also have our publications that are being shared through our press, which also includes Earth Doula, which I've also had some handiwork on with illustrating and designing partially along with Sarita. And so we're really excited about that. So you'll get discount for that as well. And then you'll also have an invitation to our fall council. You'll be able to join our annual fall council, which is where we come together, I believe virtually, and then we talk about what we've been up to and share our visions and our updates and collaboratively weave together. And we will likely be talking about our values at this next annual fall council. We'll be updating the school. The school is a living entity, right? And so as we thrive, the school thrives, and that's where we can touch base and imagine where the school can go. And you will also receive access to our community forum, which is where you can share rituals, recipes, and do some research, ask questions, and more through the Mycelia group on Hilo. So Hilo is where our community will be able to chat and interact with each other. So that's where we can have conversations with each other, whether private or in a group. And we can also bring what's moving through us and then feel witnessed and held. And I believe through there, we can also offer some mentoring, one-on-one mentoring when as needed. And then we also have this collective abundance. So after purchasing a full membership, either initially or after 12 months payment, any surplus co-op income is paid out as dividends in proportion to patronage during the fiscal year. So as we bring in money and we have surplus, we will be able to distribute it to members. So that is also another beautiful perk. As like I said, as we thrive, you thrive. And here we have some information about how cooperative school works. And I'll just read this. Our co-op is owned and operated by our teachers, stewards, and community. Much like a CSA or community-supported agriculture, the support of our community member owners allows us to offer classes, gatherings, and publications in alignment with our vision and values. In exchange, community member owners participate in the decision-making of the school, receive mentorship and support, connect in community gatherings, and receive dividends from profitable years of the school. And you can see all membership perks and our sliding scale membership plans and FAQs here on this page. So yeah, we have some FAQs here that you can connect with on your own time. We'll be sharing the link if it hasn't been shared already to this wonderful membership page. And if you have any more questions about membership, please do not hesitate to ask one of us or to send us a note through the website. We'll be happy to ask any questions that arise. And also if you need any clarifications or have suggestions, we're also open to that as well. So thank you so much for delving into this page with me. I am going to pass it on back to Sarita.
Thank you, Jenny. I think now we're gonna just open it up for questions. So if folks have curiosities or anything was unclear, or if you have specific questions about your dreams of being a cooperative worker or member owner, please ask, and we can also fill the time sharing more about our process. But I'd love to just pause right now and see if there's any questions.
Hi, Sarita, you mentioned that it was a sole proprietorship for a while, and then moving into a cooperative model. Could you talk a little bit more about what that process or that transition was like? Maybe on like the back end.
Yeah, I can share logistics about it, and then I can also share sort of like maybe lessons learned, just because it has been a long journey. So, practically speaking, once we identified a desire to form a co op, we went to the legal cafes that are offered for free by SELC, the Southern Economic, no, not Southern, Sustainable Economic Law Center, Economies Law Center, SELC. And they do a legal cafe for anyone that's got any kind of questions about creating cooperatives and running them. So in the legal cafe that we went to ask some questions, we had the good fortune of meeting with a lawyer at the group who had already helped schools turn from a sole proprietor business into a cooperative business. So we were like, great, we want to work with you. So it's Brett Heeger, and he was so helpful because him and his, actually also Isabel Jurado was another lawyer through his team, who helped us create our bylaws. And at every step of the way, we would keep checking in with ourselves to make sure that what we were writing in our bylaws was in alignment with our values. And they were both just super on board with that. For example, for certain decision makings, we wanted to have the earth represented. We want to make sure that the earth was in agreement with what we were creating. And so we have like a role for that in our co-op as someone who's going to be making sure that what we're creating is in alignment and in reciprocity with the earth. So little things like that, I think were really unique to our process, because sometimes we pull from existing structures when the language is helpful and when the form is helpful, and then sometimes we really divert and think, what can we create that doesn't exist right now, or maybe it existed for how our ancestors used to learn and we want to bring it back into schooling now. So it's always been sort of a play with that, and that it was similar in creating our bylaws, knowing that we want to have a legal structure that means we all are equal owners of this, that there's no executive director, there's no CEO, but we're all owners, as workers of the school. And so it was, you need to have certain things filed legally to be able to hold a business cooperatively in the state of California. But having SELC, I'd highly recommend going to SELC's legal cafes for questions. And then for us, it was also really important to have a lawyer that could take us through the bylaws writing process. So Isabel, who's currently running for city council in LA, District 14, if anyone's in that district. I believe it includes like East LA, maybe Highland Park. It's where Kevin De Leon was the city member. Anyways, she's amazing. She was just wonderful walking us through that process of creating the bylaws, but I don't think we would have been able to do that without professionals in the legal field. And so that's a bit of the logistics of how we did that. And different stewards would take on different pieces. So like Joe does all of our finances, and has been amazing at learning about, how to set up our bank account for the school and how to understand like different aspects of taxes and things like that. Chayo's been our HR steward, and so Chayo's been amazing at figuring out like how do we create contracts as a co-op, and how do we run this structure in alignment with our values that we're creating an equitable workplace and things like that. So each of us would kind of take on different pieces and research them and bring them back, but uh, I'm happy to share our bylaws with you as well, Sarah. So if you are curious about that, maybe just DM me your email. And then in terms of the more like story part of it, it was really wild to go from one person thinking and doing a certain way, which is my way, and which is very limited based on my experience and perspective, into being a mycelia of many different ways, many different approaches to work, habits, styles, priorities. And so it makes the process so much longer. And I was just sharing with Jenny today how I'm so grateful to be slowed down because I work really fast. And in my haste, I miss things and I skip things. And because we each have our skill set, we get to plug them in. And that means also, though, that timing has been stretched out. So the hardest part, I think, to get co-ops off the ground is actually raising capital. And it's something we're still needing to do. We still need to raise about 20,000 more. We've been able to raise about 20,000 so far, which has been amazing. But having capital to actually pay the workers to create the thing is the hardest piece, in my opinion, so far, because we're doing labors of love. All of us have contributed so many volunteer hours in this process of creating the co-op. But because it was something that I had initially started as a school, I kind of felt responsible, like, well, if they don't have time or they're already at capacity or it's already a lot of volunteer time, I'll just do it because I don't want to, I'm a people pleaser and I don't want to ask and blah, blah, blah. So it's also been like a surrender of my ego and being a people pleaser, and also learning how to ask for help and really rely on the team to carry us and know that we're gonna figure this out together. So yeah, just surrendering the individualism has been for me one of the more challenging pieces, but also the most liberating piece, because that's what then it's like you feel that network of care, and so we're really learning how to care for each other and each bring our specific skill and talent to the group. And I'll pause there in case anybody else wants to add.
I'd be happy to add, and sorry if you can hear another meeting in the background. There's Long Beach, LA, and Richmond meeting right now about the youth strategic plan. So yeah, all the beautiful connections that are happening in tandem with this. But yeah, I think it's really wild to have witnessed your surrender process and to be a part of that with this beautiful community we've created. And it's taught me a lot about building capacity and building community and being shameless in asking for help and asking for support. And when it comes down to it, when the end goal is to be able to continuously have that support for each other, it's just felt like incredible practice. And I think it's just kind of funny because I started out as a like in over my head LLC corporation with my business, and I ended up becoming a sole proprietorship to balance out with the school. So I was just in this like backwards process and really holding that balance with all of that. And also just like leaving my adolescence too, like going more into deep adulthood through this process. So the Ecocene schools really just like supported me through gaining stability and gaining trust in myself and like learning how to truly surrender and trust others in a long arduous process. So it's been really beautiful too to see individuals who've been consistent in supporting us and folks who really want to bolster this. So I'm super appreciative that y'all are here and just want to say thank you again. And yeah, just really looking forward to seeing how this emerges over and over again. I really love the metaphor of the like gardening and the deaths and the births that happen through the season. So we're going through all of that, and yeah, just calling in the magic of water, Age of Aquarius, and Wood Dragon through all of this. Yeah, it's gonna be great.
I wanted to kind of add on onto that juiciness, and it's true actually. In I feel like what being part of the Ecocene has really done is allow you to kind of have an eye out this way and an eye inward, and allowed, at least for me, to be able to not feel like the weird one in spaces. It's like, why can't we all just be abundant? Why can't we all have like earth at the center of everything, like in your daily thoughts, in how it roots us back into being human, and how being human connects us to like the rest of us all over the world, right? And so we in group have felt very deeply all of these things that happen in the world, and will like grieve together. We've also been able to come together and like celebrate our winnings together, and encourage ourselves to continue to doing the work that we do, because there's days when you feel like you're the lonesome out in the vastness of the ocean, and then you're like, oh, in the Ecocene, well, the ocean is part of you, so like it's like a reintegration, right? And I actually went from not even having my own legit business to actually making to the LLC. So it's amazing how it's been aligning you to really keep forward with your work, and knowing that you come back here and you share these gifts that we were already born with innately, right? That we've been trying to figure out how to share with the world. And the School of the Ecozine has given us a platform to connect with us, right? Because what's that saying that's been going around? We need more healers, and we need more ears, and we need more hearts out in the world. And I feel like this is definitely a place that has allowed for that growth to happen. So yeah, I think that's the first time I really say that out loud. So I just want to be grateful, sitting in gratitude with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Chayo. I also like to share that it was pretty interesting that being on my journey that was it's been very spiritual, um largely in part of what's been happening in the world, and also in terms of my own personal life, and trying to see like what are the alternatives, like what can I do to better to show up for others and to show up for myself. And in that journey, what I discovered was I was already creating my own curriculum. I was creating my own forms of study. I was already gathering books, gathering resources, having conversations, seeing where my intuition would lead me, seeing what would happen when I decided to really allow myself to soften with the earth, and discover more about what the earth is, how my connection with the earth was one of belonging, and how I have so much medicine already as being a part of the earth. And so I really was amazed that like what I was dreaming, what I was creating on my own, thinking like, okay, I have this idea, I have these ideas, I have these visions, and I'm here to hold them for my like here in my space, and then to recognize like, oh my gosh, it's happening already. We're already doing this thing. It's being built like beyond myself. And so to go to participate in the DIY PhD program with Sarita, it was like a dream come true. It was like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been wanting. I thought I had to do it all alone. I thought that, okay, I'm going to do this curriculum somehow. I'm going to figure out how to make this a part of my study, how to share what I've learned, how to, do all these things. And there was a space here for me to be held and to be witnessed, and to feel seen and heard in a way that I hadn't. Oh my gosh, my inner child is like so joyful to be a part of this. And then now to participate as a worker owner has been so beautiful. Just to have that full body yes of, oh my gosh, my energy is going towards something where it's like, this is just the beginning. And I mean, this has been growing, and I have been a part of this for 3 years, but we're also a sort of a baby. And for us to all be dueling this together is pure magic. And to witness each other and our gifts, and then like more gifts are coming, like gifts that I didn't know. I like, I didn't really realize like I needed to give myself a chance, and to do that is to share with other people in community. And I have a background in tech, so I've worked in tech for years, um and have had to put an energy towards a vision and learn these values, and often feel my body neglected. And that's part of why I was on the spiritual journey, because I was deeply hurting and very sick. And so to see, okay, now we have a space like to dismantle all of that, and also like see what kind of works. Like I am bringing some things from that I've learned from technology into the school. So it's like, how are we bringing the best of everything? Like, sorry, like the most helpful, beneficial things of everything, and bringing them here, and see what works, and to be open, and to make mistakes, even like to be okay. Like, we in creating this website, oh my God, like it's a beautiful flow. And also we had a lot of what's it called, obstacles come up, things that we were doing. We're like, okay, we need to scrap this, we need to do this, we need to pivot. It's been so beautiful to be a part of that, and to feel so held by each other with this team. And so like, gosh, I'm getting emotional thinking about it, like how much it has meant to be a part of something that is bigger than myself, and to recognize like, oh my gosh, I can teach here now, and I'm stepping up into my role as a guide, like to be able to share with others on this platform, and to have people very excited, like, oh my gosh, it's been so much dormancy, like with all the things that have been happening in the world that are so painful and so difficult. And to be able to cultivate my medicine with the medicine of others here has just been a dream. So yeah, thank you so much. I really am grateful for everyone who has participated or even had that dream, and then even those who are like out there just like thinking, I have this, I know things need to be different. I want to connect to the earth. I want to be my witchy ass spiritual weirdo self. And feel totally held with myself, with my past in the corporate world or wherever, like just to come here fully. Such a freaking gift. So thank you to whoever's listening. And this is a place to be excited. And this is a place to really just pour love into. And I trust so full-heartedly that this is a movement that is so needed. That is so needed here to support our local community so we can impact our global community. This is yeah. I feel like I could keep going, so I'm gonna end here. But thank you for listening.
I just want to really say thank you so much. That was so beautiful. Oh my, all these tears of like all this time came out of all of us. Maybe the nutrition, right? Maybe all the nutrition out there. So yeah, thank you, Jenny.
Just, I know we're coming at that time. I'm Joe. I'm one of the also co-founding stewards. And Jenny, thank you for that. Sometimes when you step in a role of finance or administrative, you forget about some of the things that the reason why you decided to join and become part of a cooperative, and hearing Chayo and everybody share. And I think that one of the main things was to create a platform that provided space for to be guides, to share our gifts, to be able to teach in different ways, with encompassing all the things that we know are very traumatic in in school systems. And so we really spend a lot of time thinking about how not to be that, how not to do that. And hearing you, and it's affirming that that's what we're creating, where people can feel comfortable in affirming their own skills and what they bring, which is often something, again, that doesn't get recognized in all institutions, right? And so they filter us out. And so now we're in here up at center. So thank you. So good to have you, Jenny. And I'm always thriving to see in everybody, seeing everybody glow. I glow too. And for those who are planning to join us, please join us. We want to celebrate you and create a space where you and your medicine is uplifted.
Thank you for sharing. It's a continued collective abundance that we're creating. And I just want to share this message from my friend Pau, who was sharing how, as much as we are protesting and dismantling and tearing things down, we have to be creating the alternatives that can come in and replace all that is supremacist and toxic and harmful and violent. We have to be building these alternatives. So that's a huge driving force for our school, is I can really sink into oceans of grief, but then I come up thinking, yeah, okay, I know that we're building something that can support so many people in creation that is guided by not our minds or the greed that happens in capitalism, but creation that's guided by our ancestors and the movement guides, the Black and Indigenous visionaries who've come before us or who are inspiring us today. So building is as important as critiquing and tearing down. We have to have something in its place that we can lean on. I see a question here. See, what are some reasons y'all have seen co-ops fall apart? Knowing what you know, what would you do differently? Great question. So Mare, I'll just bring in Mare's voice, who's one of our founding stewards. We have some founding stewards who aren't active right now, but still a huge part of the whole process and creation of the co-op. She pointed out that most co-ops take 5 to 10 years to get off the ground. So that's just a little context for how long it takes to grow a sustainable co-op. And when I shared our business plan with my colleague and friend who's an economist, she was like, how many people do you have creating the co-op? And I was like, 8 people. And she was like, that's too many. So that's just, it's not like we could have turned anybody away, but what we know now is that when it's a slightly smaller group that's more active, it's a little easier than if it's a large group with half the people dormant or inactive. That's a piece I've been contemplating and sitting with, because it's the more people in the room, the more, well, financially, the more expensive it is, because you want to pay everybody for those times, but all the meetings extrapolate. It's just a financial brain, but it also takes longer. And so starting smaller and tight and active, I think, could be a little easier. That would have been something to know going on. I see Ink shared something here too. I'm gonna pass the mic in case anyone else wants to respond.
I just wanted to add, I feel like also, in addition to what Sarita just shared, I think patience and in the development, oftentimes when you have a lot of folks, like some folks want to take the floor running and other folks take it slower. And I think finding a good balance in between has been very crucial. And also, if we look at the way even nature goes, it's so funny that this question was asked, because in nature there was, I think that said that nature doesn't rush, but they're always on time and everything gets done. And I've really been focusing on that, because a lot of times, and going along with also what Ink mentioned was, yeah, unchecked-ish, right? Like whether it's with yourself or finding loving ways of helping each other move forward. And also releasing a lot of the guilt, either because the guilt you're taking on too much, or the guilt that you feel like you haven't taken on enough. And it's being more proactive of the way that we communicate. Like, for example, my role wasn't as active in the development. Also, I didn't have knowledge about it, brought guilt. But like, once I let that go, I was like, okay, but what knowledge do I have? And it's okay, creating things. So I started, doing the things on my end that was like research, the behind the scenes that doesn't get seen that much. And communication, right? I think communication is key. As long as we're talking about these things, like, it's helping us propel forward, so that we can all move forward together in that way, of growth, right? And so I've been kind of keeping that note of like, okay, nature doesn't rush, but still gets done. Like, still things get communicated. This is why mycelium networks work. This is why there is such intricate systems of connectivity and communication and flourishment and nourishment, and also reframing that thought of that let's problem solve versus, well, there's this issue, like it's coming from the heart-based more. So when you put it into concrete plans, they're like, oh, the idea and the knowledge gaining of like how to establish a business. Why are we choosing the cooperative? And, sticking to our values, right? Our values, they very much guided us the entire way. And that was key, right? Instead of like, oh my God, we got to pay people, and it's like this whole freak out. And instead of being like, okay, let's take a step back. We're here reminding our passion and our purpose and how that all aligns. So yeah, that was my 2 cents.
Other wisdom we received was that a lot of co-ops only get off the ground because of huge labor and often financial inputs from the founders. So it can be quite a sacrifice. It's really quite a birthing and a doula-ship to birth a co-op. And yeah, patience. So thanks for sharing these questions and responses. And I want to honor our time today. We said we'd stick to an hour, so just a little blast about the co-op we're cultivating. And if you're here with us, or if you're watching the replay, we really invite you to jump in and become part of the school with us and help to grow our school as a community member owner. Help us with decision making, help us with inspiration, and then let us help you get your work out into the world and network with other earth workers and funders and clients that we get to share you with in our earth worker directory. So I'll just put the link in the chat one more time to peruse this Ecocene membership page, so beautifully created by Jenny. And if you have any questions, I'll also drop our email in the chat. It's monitored by amazing assistant administrator Marali. So if you have any further questions, feel free to reach out. And thank you so much for your time today, and thanks for being part of our community. So grateful for you.
Thanks, y'all.